program of clay. Here's my trembling hands away. I'm recording one and give me fire. That's a button heart, don't go find me, here I go. Won't do no good, washing the river. Ain't no preacher man save my soul. Did that woman force my hand?